There's a specific moment when everything changes. Not when you threaten to leave, not when you cry or plead or explain for the 100th time why their behavior hurts. The real shift happens in the quiet, when you stop typing that long message, when you don't check if they've seen your story, when your hands finally stop reaching across the void. For you, this moment feels like surrender, like admitting defeat in a war you never wanted to fight. But here's what most people don't understand. For the person who pushed you away, your silence doesn't land like relief. It lands like an earthquake. Welcome back. Today, we're going deep into the psychological landscape of the dismissive, avoidant mind, mapping exactly what happens when you truly let go. Not the dramatic exit designed to get their attention, but the genuine moment when your energy shifts and you choose yourself. What we're about to explore might surprise you, it might even disturb you. Because the person who seems so indifferent, so untouchable, so perfectly fine without you is about to experience an internal collapse that happens in 7 distinct stages. Stage 1, the victory lap. Let's start with the truth that's going to sting. In the first days and weeks after you stop pursuing them, the avoidant doesn't feel sad. They feel victorious. I know that's not what you want to hear. You're imagining them staring at their phone, missing your good morning texts, regretting their coldness. But that's not their reality yet. Their reality is relief so profound, it feels like oxygen after drowning. Here's why. When you were in their life, loving them, needing them, asking for connection, their nervous system registered your affection as a threat. Not because you were dangerous, but because intimacy itself triggers their deepest wound. Every time you asked where the relationship was going, their brain heard you're trying to trap me. Every time you wanted quality time, they felt you're suffocating me. Your love, as pure as it was, activated their fight or flight response constantly. So when you finally stop, when the texts stop coming, when the request for connection cease, their stress hormones plummet. It's a biochemical event. Cortisol drops, dopamine surges, and they feel lighter than they felt in months. They tell themselves a story that makes them the hero. I knew we weren't compatible. I made the right choice. They were too emotional. I'm better off alone. This narrative isn't just self-protection. It's self-preservation. They genuinely believe they've escaped something harmful. You'll see them on social media looking happier than ever. They're at the gym hanging with friends, diving into projects. They're proving to the world and to themselves that they don't need anyone, that their self-sufficiency is their superpower. But here's what's actually happening beneath the surface. They're running on adrenaline. They're high on the drug of autonomy regained. This isn't happiness. It's the manic energy of someone who just removed a splinter. The pain is gone, so they assume they're healed. They don't yet realize that the splinter is holding together a wound that's about to open. This stage can last anywhere from a few days to several weeks, depending on how deeply they suppress their emotions. But make no mistake, it always ends. Because the human brain isn't designed for permanent disconnection. We're wired for attachment, even those of us who fear it most. And that wiring is about to short-circuit. Stage 2, the quiet expectation. Something subtle begins to shift around the 3rd or 4th week. The avoidant celebration of freedom starts to feel a little hollow, though they won't consciously acknowledge this yet. Here's what's happening in their brain. For months, maybe years, you established a pattern. You were the pursuer, the one who initiated contact, the one who tried to fix things when they broke. Even when they pushed you away, their subconscious knew you'd come back. You always did. This created a neural pathway, a deeply carved groove in their mind that said, no matter what I do, they'll return. This unconscious expectation provided them with something crucial: security in their insecurity. They could be distant, knowing you'd bridge the gap. They could be cold, knowing you'd bring the warmth. Your predictability allowed them to maintain their walls while still feeling wanted. But now you've broken the pattern. The text they expected at 8 a.m. never came. The weekend check-in didn't happen. The birthday message, usually sent with hopeful affection, was absent. At first, they barely notice. They're too busy enjoying their freedom. But the brain is a prediction machine, and when predictions fail repeatedly, it sends up warning flares. They start having small, fleeting thoughts. They haven't reached out. I wonder if they're okay. That's odd. They usually would have texted by now. These aren't feelings of missing you yet. Not quite. They're more like cognitive hiccups. Moments where the expected script didn't play out. During this stage, they might check your social media more frequently, not obsessively, but casually, the way you'd check the weather. They're gathering data, confirming that you're still in your usual emotional state, still available. If they see you posting sad quotes or melancholy songs, their nervous system relaxes. Good. They're still processing the breakup, still thinking about me. The pattern is just paused, not broken. But if you're silent, or worse, if you're posting about growth, new experiences, genuine smiles, something starts to nag at them. A whisper in the back of their mind that says, maybe this time is different. They push it away quickly. They're probably just putting on a front. They'll break soon. But the seed of doubt has been planted and seeds given time, and the right conditions always grow. Stage 3, the ego bruise. We're now entering dangerous territory for the avoidant psyche. It's been 4 to 6 weeks, maybe longer, and you haven't cracked. You haven't sent the drunk text. You haven't shown up at their door. You haven't even liked their Instagram posts. The silence is starting to feel less like a pause and more like a statement. This is when their ego gets involved, and the avoidant ego is a fragile, complicated thing. On the surface, they project supreme confidence. I don't need anyone. I'm perfectly fine alone. But underneath that armor lives a wounded child who secretly believes they are fundamentally unlovable, defective in some core way that makes them unworthy of unconditional love. When you were chasing them, your pursuit actually soothed this wound without them having to do any emotional work. Your desire proved they were valuable. Your pain when they withdrew proved they mattered. They could sit back and feel important without the risk of vulnerability. But now you've removed yourself from the equation, and suddenly they're forced to sit with themselves. The questions start creeping in, usually late at night when distractions fade. Why haven't they contacted me? Have they actually moved on? Was I not as important as I thought? Notice the shift in focus. In stage 1, they were thinking about themselves and their freedom. Now they're thinking about you and your silence. This creates a specific type of anxiety that the avoidant isn't equipped to handle. It's not the anxiety of engulfment they felt when you were close. It's the anxiety of irrelevance. They start investigating more deliberately now. They're checking your Instagram stories within minutes of you posting them. They're asking mutual friends about you in casual, carefully crafted ways. Hey, how's so-and-so doing? Haven't heard from them in a while. They might even drive past places you used to go together, telling themselves it's coincidence, but secretly hoping to catch a glimpse of you looking miserable. Because your misery would restore the natural order. It would confirm that they still hold power, that they're still the prize, but you're not giving them that confirmation. And this absence of validation creates a cognitive dissonance that's deeply uncomfortable. Their logical brain insists they made the right choice in creating distance, but their emotional brain is screaming, but why aren't they fighting for us? This is the stage where some avoidants attempt to test the waters. They might send a random meme, a song that reminds them of you, a "Hey, how are you" text at 11 p.m. These aren't genuine attempts at reconnection. They're ego checks. They're sticking their toe in the water to see if it's still warm, if you're still waiting. And here's where most people fail. They see that text, their heart leaps, and they respond immediately with enthusiasm, pouring out feelings and hope. The moment you do this, you reset the entire cycle. You've shown them that the supply is still there, that they still have power, and their anxiety immediately drops. Often they'll ghost you again right after because they got what they needed. Confirmation that they still matter. Stage 4. The phantom memory. If you've held strong through stage 3, if you didn't take the bait of their breadcrumbs, something remarkable and tragic happens in the avoidant mind. They begin to idealize you. This usually occurs around the 2 to 3 month mark. The brain has a fascinating feature called the fading affect bias. Essentially, negative emotions attached to memories fade faster than positive emotions for most people. But for avoidance, this effect is amplified. When you were together, their brain was in constant defense mode. It magnified every flaw, every moment of conflict, every time you asked for too much. This magnification was a survival mechanism, giving them permission to maintain distance. But now that you're gone, now that you're no longer a threat to their autonomy, the brain stops needing those defenses. The irritation fades, the suffocation feeling evaporates, and what's left? The highlight reel. They start remembering the beginning, the chemistry, the laughter, the way you understood their weird sense of humor when no one else did. They remember feeling seen by you in ways they'd never experienced before. They remember the version of you that existed before attachment trauma kicked in, before needs and expectations entered the equation. You're becoming a ghost in their mind, a perfect, untouchable memory that grows more beautiful the further away it gets. This is what relationship experts call the Phantom X phenomenon. Avoidants are notorious for carrying torches for past partners, not because those relationships were perfect, but because they became perfect in retrospect. The safety paradox is in full effect now. When you were close, you were dangerous. Now that you're distant, you're safe. Safe to desire, safe to miss, safe to love. Because loving you from afar requires nothing from them. No compromise, no vulnerability, no risk. They might find themselves in moments of unexpected emotion. A song plays in a coffee shop and suddenly they're back in your car, your hand in theirs. They smell a perfume similar to yours in a crowd and their chest tightens. They have a good day at work and their first instinct is to tell you before they remember they can't. These aren't full breakdowns. Avoidants don't collapse dramatically, but these are cracks in the armor, small fissures where feeling seeps through. The tragedy here is profound. They're falling in love with who you were, or more accurately, with their edited version of who you were. But they're not ready for who you actually are, a complete human with needs and desires and expectations. They're in love with a memory that can never hurt them. And because you're maintaining your silence, because you're not there to shatter the illusion with reality, this ghost grows stronger every day. Stage 5, the comparison trap. Around this time, many avoidants try to move forward. They convince themselves that the solution to this nagging emptiness is to find someone new, someone easier, someone less complicated. They download dating apps, they go on dates, they might even start seeing someone casually. And this is where the collapse accelerates, because every new person they meet is instantly compared to you, and everyone falls short. They sit across the table from someone perfectly nice, perfectly attractive, and they feel nothing. This person doesn't know that they take their coffee black with 1 sugar. This person doesn't understand why they go quiet when they're stressed. This person hasn't earned the right to their vulnerability because you did that work already. You put in the time, the patience, the emotional labor to understand their complicated inner world. What the avoidant interpreted as drama when you were together, they now recognize as depth. The passion, the intensity, the connection that felt suffocating now feels vital compared to the shallow small talk of a first date. They realize something devastating. They're bored. The peace they thought they wanted feels empty. The simplicity they craved feels meaningless. They wanted space from intensity, but now they're drowning in the monotony of surface-level interactions. They start to understand, though they won't admit it yet, that you weren't the problem. You were the solution to a loneliness they didn't even know they had. This is when the real grief begins. Not the relief of stage 1, not the curiosity of stage 2. Real grief. They're grieving the loss of someone who actually knew them, someone who loved them despite seeing their worst, someone who was willing to do the hard work of loving an avoidant. And here's the cruel irony. The very thing that made you difficult for them, your depth, your emotional availability, your capacity for love, is exactly what they're now desperately missing. But their pride won't let them reach out. The shame is too great. What would they even say? I'm sorry. I pushed away the best thing in my life because I was terrified of needing you. That's too vulnerable, too real, too much risk of rejection. So they suffer silently, scrolling through old photos at 2 a.m., reading old text conversations, torturing themselves with the memory of what they destroyed. Stage 6, the internal reckoning. This is the stage where the avoidant carefully constructed reality collapses entirely. All the defense mechanisms, all the stories they told themselves, all the blame they placed on you, it crumbles. They're forced to confront a truth they've spent their entire life running from. The problem was never you, it was always them. This realization usually comes in a moment of brutal clarity. Maybe they're lying in bed at 3 a.m., unable to sleep. Maybe they're in therapy, finally being honest. Maybe they see you unexpectedly, and the wave of feeling that hits them is undeniable. Whatever the trigger, the dam breaks. They see it clearly now. You weren't too needy. You were human. You weren't too emotional. You were brave enough to feel. You weren't trying to trap them. You were trying to love them. And they punished you for it. This is the core wound activation. Deep in the psyche of most dismissive avoidants is a belief that they are fundamentally defective, incapable of love, incapable of connection. When you were around, they could avoid this belief by projecting the problem onto you. But now, with you gone and thriving without them, the projection fails. The voice in their head shifts from "you are too much" to "I am not enough." I had someone who loved me unconditionally, and I destroyed it. I'm broken. I'll always be alone. This is where some avoidants have genuine breakthroughs. Their pain becomes greater than the fear, and they finally become willing to change, to seek help, to do the work of healing their attachment trauma. But others spiral deeper into shame. The guilt of what they've done becomes so overwhelming that they shut down completely. They decide they don't deserve to reach out. They don't deserve your forgiveness. They convince themselves that the kindest thing they can do is leave you alone, let you find someone better, someone who can love you the way you deserve. Both responses come from the same source: the devastating recognition that they are the author of their own loneliness, that every time someone got close, they built the walls higher, and now those walls aren't protecting them, they're imprisoning them. Stage 7, the point of no return. We arrive at the final stage, the moment of ultimate truth. By now, months have passed. You've done the work to heal. You've rebuilt your life. You've remembered who you were before you became consumed with saving someone who didn't want to be saved. And the avoidant sees this transformation. They see you laughing in photos. They see you confident, whole, radiant. and it terrifies them more than anything else in this journey, because your happiness without them proves what they feared most. They weren't essential, they were optional. This creates the final power inversion. Throughout the entire relationship, you needed them more than they needed you. Your need gave them control, gave them value, gave them purpose. But now, you've proven you don't need them. You've proven you can not only survive without them, but thrive. Remember it. And suddenly they realize what they've lost. Not just a partner, their safe harbor. The one person who saw past their walls and loved them anyway. The one person willing to do the exhausting work of understanding them. At this crossroads, two paths emerge. Path one, they break. The pain of losing you becomes greater than the fear of vulnerability, and they come back with genuine accountability. They show up ready to do the real work, to enter therapy, to dismantle the patterns that destroyed the relationship. This is the rock bottom that creates transformation. But path two is more common. This shame becomes unbearable. They cannot face the mirror you're holding up to them. They cannot risk the rejection of reaching out and being turned away. So they retreat into silence, choosing to live with your ghost rather than face the real you. They'll carry you like a scar. You'll become the standard against which everyone else is measured, and everyone else will fail. They'll watch you from the shadows, loving you in silence, regretting in silence, paralyzed by the very fear that destroyed the relationship in the first place. It's a tragedy, but it's not your tragedy anymore. Here's what I need you to understand. Whether they come back or whether they suffer in silence, whether they transform or whether they repeat the pattern with someone new, none of that determines your worth. You didn't fail. You didn't give up too soon. You didn't love wrong. You simply recognize that you cannot heal someone who refuses to acknowledge they're wounded. You cannot build a home with someone who's terrified of shelter. The 7 stages we just walked through, they're not about you winning or losing. They're simply the natural consequence of emotional physics. When you stop chasing, the runner has to face why they're running. Your only job now is to keep walking forward, to build a life so full of purpose and joy and authentic connection that by the time they realize what they lost, you've already found something better, yourself. This is where the real healing happens, not in their collapse, but in your rise. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, you're not alone in this experience. See you in the next